Come in, heroes. This is the command center. Upstreet Online is calling all heroes. Come in, heroes. This is Command Central.
Heroes, welcome to Command Central. Thanks for assembling today. My name is Daniel, and we'll continue our training today learning how to tap into the power God gives us to be the heroes He knows that we can be. Today's hero training will center around an unlikely hero who put himself into battle under the most unusual circumstances. But pushing through the unknown and believing that God's battle plan was better proved to be the right strategy because we're still talking about that hero today. But first, let's check in with our 3 hero recruits and see what today's training will look like.
Hey everyone, let me introduce myself. My name's Robbie, but my friends, they call me Rocket. I'm just your average kid. I love to play sports. I'm a huge fan of anything fun, and that gets me into trouble sometimes. I've got 2 best friends, Violet and Edge. Oh yeah, and I've got a dog named Astro. Sorry, buddy. I'm pretty much just like you, except for one little thing. When my friends and I are in difficult situations, we sort of turn into heroes. We don't know how it happens, but when we're faced with tough choices, we have these awesome watches that tell us exactly what we need. And all of a sudden, we know what to do. It's kind of awesome. Like, let me tell you about this one time. Edge and Violet were hanging out with my family one night. Outside, there was a pretty bad storm happening, but inside, we were having a pretty great time at the dinner table. We were all about to sit down and watch a movie after dinner.
So what movie do you guys want to watch?
When suddenly, the storm knocked the power out in our whole house. It was pitch black everywhere.
Oh no!
I couldn't see anything. And with the wind howling outside and the rain beating on our house, our fun time quickly turned into something a little scary. My dad turned on the flashlight on his phone and made sure we were all okay.
Everyone okay?
But my little brother, well, he's scared of storms.
Dad, I don't like this. I'm scared.
My dad decided it was probably a good idea to go get some extra light.
We should get some more flashlights. Rocket, can you and Edge go get them in the basement?
But when I learned I would be heading into the dark basement, I had some second thoughts. But I could see that my brother really needed my help. So, with the help of my best friend and my trusty dog Astro, it would be no problem if we went together, right? I mean, what could happen? Edge and I opened the basement door, and all I saw were the stairs leading into the dark. Not gonna lie, I sort of felt my stomach do a flip-flop inside my body. Well, apparently so did Edge, because the next thing I know, he was making me go down first. I looked back at the stairs heading into the basement, and my heart began to beat a little faster. My hands were starting to sweat, and my knees got a little weak. I was about to close the door and head back into the living room when my watch began to jump off my wrist. I tried to place my hand over the watch and shut the thing off, but before I knew it, a massive shield landed right between me and the basement stairs. I knew this would be a problem I would have to face head on.
There's a guy I want to tell you about who felt a lot like Lando, and his name was Gideon. He was the leader of the Israelite army. We can read about him in a book from the Bible called Judges. Yeah, the book of Judges is about some really amazing battles, and I'm going to tell you about one of those battles today. This battle starts with a little guy named Gideon. Gideon was a part of a group of people called the Israelites, and the Israelites were pretty much being owned by this group of evil people called the Midianites. Yeah, super sour, not sweet. In fact, there were so many Midianites, it was impossible to count them. 1, 2, 110,000, 52, whoa! There was so many Midis. And the Midianites were so mean and so scary that Gideon and his people, the Israelites, were actually hiding in caves. Well, one day, Gideon was doing some work and an angel A real live angel from heaven, a messenger of God, came and actually spoke to him. What? The angel said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Go in the strength you have and save Israel." Now, wait a second. Remember, Gideon was living in a cave because he was so scared of the Midianites. But the angel just called him a mighty warrior? Gideon was like, "God, how can I save Israel? My family is the weakest in the whole tribe, and I'm the smallest in my family." Gideon thought he was the last person God would want to help save his people. But this messenger from God reminded Gideon of something important. 5 words that would change everything. I will be with you. In other words, Gideon wasn't going to be alone. God was going to be with him. So Gideon could be brave and remember that God was with him. So he started to gather an army. So we've got Gideon. Then Gideon gathers a group of 32,000 Israelites to fight the Midianites. That's quite an army. But God wanted Gideon's army to be a little smaller. So God told Gideon to send anyone home who was scared, send anyone home who didn't want to face off with the bad Midianites. And Gideon did what God asked, which left him about 10,000 men. 10,000 is definitely still great, but God wanted Gideon's army to be smaller. Gideon did what God asked and let some more men go. And do you know how many fighting men he was left with? 5,000 maybe, 3,000? Well, that still would have been a lot of men, but no. Gideon was left with only 300 men. 32,000 soldiers down to 300? If I'm Gideon, I'm like, yikes. But God wanted Gideon to fight the Midianites with 300 men. 300 men against an army of thousands? But that's what God asked Gideon to do. So that's what Gideon did. Why? Because Gideon knew he wasn't alone. God was with him, and Gideon could trust him. So now it's fighting time. And God told Gideon how they were going to win the battle. Gideon went to his army and told them what they were going to do. First, they were going to wait until nighttime. Gideon told them that they would surround the Midianite army in the middle of the night. And Gideon gave each member of the army a trumpet and a torch. They also got a jar to hide the light so that they could sneak up on the Midianites at just the right moment. So these feel like pretty unusual weapons for battle, but that's what God told Gideon to give them. And when Gideon gave the go-ahead, they would throw their jars down on the ground, blow their trumpets, and shout that the battle was for the Lord. So imagine the Midianites all asleep in their tents, off in La La Land, and then, when they least expect it, all of a sudden, they hear this racket, horns, crashing jars. They don't know where it's coming from. They're still half asleep. They don't know what's going on. They think they're under attack, but they're really all just confused, and they're swinging their swords. It's dark. They can't see. They start fighting. They don't know who they're hitting. It's chaos. It's loud. They're confused, and they're so scared. And then the Midianites actually ran away, and Gideon's army won. Do you think that when Gideon was hiding in a cave, that he would ever imagine he would win a huge battle? No. But do you know who did? God. And just like Gideon, God wants to use you for something amazing. You can be brave and remember that God is with you. You can trust God to give you the courage you need to do whatever He's asking you to do. Maybe you're afraid about being in a new school and making new friends this year. You can be brave and remember that God is with you in that new school. Maybe you're afraid of playing a new sport, or standing up in front of the class, or going to the dentist, or introducing yourself to a new neighbor. You can be brave and remember that God is with you whenever you're nervous about something big. God doesn't ask you to show courage on your own. He is with you, and you can trust Him. Courage starts with remembering where our courage comes from. Courage comes from trusting God and remembering He is with you. So, be brave and remember that God is with you wherever you go. Let's pray. God, help us be like Gideon. Help us to be courageous. We know courage really comes from trusting you and knowing you are always with us. Help us to know what you want us to do and give us the courage to do it. We love you. Amen.
What an incredible example of how trusting God and remembering that He's with you will lead to iconic hero status. Hey, but it's something that all of us heroes need to remember because we're all gonna face something that scares us at some point. Just like Rocket and that dark basement he's been dreading going down into. But let's see if he's learned anything. Be courageous. Sometimes this watch goes off at the worst possible time.
What's your watch saying?
That I need to be courageous. But it's pitch black down there.
You can do it. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Remember, God's with you. You want me to go with you?
No, I got this. I'll be right back. It's not so bad down there.
Oh, good. Can you go grab the camping lanterns that are down there too?
Well, you know, I really feel like it's someone else's turn this time.
Somehow, I thought you might say that.
You are the savior, and I know that you're always gonna be there.